Welcome to the Pitchwerks podcast. I'm Scot McTaggart. Over the last 20 years, I've been a sales rep, a marketer, a manager, an executive, a consultant, and an advisor. This show is designed to give you access to my list of contacts so that you can learn more about how to present your ideas at work and succeed in your career.
Startups and salespeople, marketers and managers from the Epicast Network in Pittsburgh. It's the Pitchwerks podcast.
I wear, tight-fitting clothing. I wear my hair how I want it to be, my makeup. I'm just authentic. I'm Lyndsey. And I wasn't always that artist.
Yeah.
And I think that if I had been that artist from the beginning, I probably would be a lot further. So that's another bit of advice that I would give to somebody who's just starting out. Be as authentic as possible. Try to stay away from the gimmick.
Hey, everybody. It's Scot. It's Wednesday, and it's a Pitchwerks podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I've got sort of like a fun week for us. Actually, the next 2 weeks are all going to be about the music industry. But this week, we're going to meet Lyndsey Smith. Lyndsey is a tremendous performer. I've seen her twice on stage. First at Melinda Calaise's Women Who Rock concert back in May. And you remember Melinda when she came in here. Just a great person. And she attracts those same quality of people all around her. Lyndsey's coming in here. She's going to talk to us about what's changed about the music industry and basically how people get involved, what it's like, and frankly, what the grind looks like once you're inside of it. Before we jump in there, though, I've got to ask you to rate and review. Do that in iTunes for me. That helps other people to find this fine program, which is literally the only thing I ever ask of you. Do that, and I'll be your friend for life. Let's talk to Lyndsey. Let's find out what's going on in the music industry, and then surprise, next week, she's going to be my co-host on another interview that is going to be really cool. All right, let's kick it off. Lyndsey Smith, welcome down to the Pitchwerks studio. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I really am doing well.
I hope you're not one of the artists that thinks it's weird to come down to the sales and marketing and startup show.
No.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. I know, because like some people, when I first got started, and Buzzy and I, we sat down and we did meetings on this long before the show ever actually became a reality. And we said, we got to be that show that understands that our message is kind of universal.
Right.
Like everybody has to make a living. Everybody has their grind.
Right.
And if you ignore any aspect of it, then you're not really helping the audience. So now you are like on top of my charts right now in terms of being like, in terms of local bands, local acts, you're my favorite.
Thank you.
I'm going to geek out. I'm going to fanboy out here. But what connected the dots for me that you deserve to sit in that chair and talk to my audience is that I saw you make all these pro moves to get people to start following you for more than just one show. And it started with, you said, you're probably going to look for me on the internet and you're not going to know how to spell my name.
Right.
So let's sing it, right? Or let's spell it.
Yeah.
And it was Lyndsey. And you did it fun. You did it in an entertaining way.
I do it the same way every single time.
Well, I've seen you twice now, and both times you did it.
Yes.
The first time being at Melinda, who's been on the show, Melinda's Women Who Rock back in May.
Yeah.
Where did that start?
So, first of all, there's 10 million ways to spell Lyndsey, apparently.
True.
And of course, I have to have the most absurd spellings in my name. So I got to the point where I wanted to be relatable. I wanted it to be something that would stick in people's heads. So I wanted to make it melodic. And so I always say Lyndsey. And so every single time people say it back, or they see me in an audience or in a crowd, they repeat it back that same melodic way.
Yeah. It's like when you learn the alphabet, right? For some reason, it sticks to your memory easier.
Yeah, it does. It does.
How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing that spelling, I want to say about 5 years now.
Okay.
And it kind of got weird because I was weird about self-promotion for a really, really long time.
Typical artist.
Yes. I try and stay as humble as possible. So I hated talking about myself or talking about how even just saying my name because I felt like I was being almost
oh, she's that girl.
Yeah.
Oh, she only talks about herself.
Right. Exactly. So I had to make it more relatable, not even just for, the audience, but for myself as well. It's the best way for people to hear my personality, get, a little taste of Lyndsey every time they mention my name or go to spell it in their phone. They say it in their head.
Well, yeah. And there is a bigger conversation here about how, You're going to help us next week too with talking about the music business and how it's changing, right?
Yes.
I have a lot of friends that have been in the music business and got out, and they basically all say that it was hard before, and then the internet came along and they told us it was going to get easier, and it didn't, because now everybody got to compete.
It's an oversaturation, yeah, for sure.
Everybody got to compete, even if they didn't necessarily have talent or backing or venues or word of mouth or reviews, because you can, I don't want to say people are faking it up, but I mean, it's like, it's a lot harder to find good information, right? Because it's just, you're constantly inundated. Yeah.
There's so much out there. It's very overstimulating in this market.
Yeah.
To say the least. It's definitely overstimulating and it's oversaturated. So for genuine artists to make their way and navigate through the industry is a lot more difficult. I know for me, I pride myself in being a stage performer. It's one of the things that I take tons of pride in. But in this market nowadays, you can't just be a stage performer. You have to be like almost like a quadruple threat. You have to be able to get on stage and give a great performance, and then you have to be able to look great in pictures. You have to be able to perform online as well as be your own promoter and marketer.
And you have to do it before you have backing now.
Right.
It used to be that you kind of just, and I'm not going to pretend like I can play one note, right?
Right.
But you didn't really have to do all that stuff until they sucked all the money out of all the support structure that existed for it, right?
Right.
I remember Napster. I remember, the streaming services, and there was this sucking sound of like all the cash that used to be in the record industry.
Right.
And then basically everybody became an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
And here you are. How many years in now?
Well, so I'm originally from the Jersey Shore. When I was living on the Jersey Shore, I performed, but very sporadically. I performed a lot on the gay circuit.
Okay.
So like I always went to like the drag shows, and that's where I did my singing.
How come?
Because I'm a member of the LGBT community, for one. But for two, something about a big black woman, gay men love big black women.
Yeah.
And so I did really, really, really well.
So it was a little bit of a home base.
Absolutely.
And you found like an audience waiting for you.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Because we talk a lot about product and market fitting together.
Right.
When something starts selling itself immediately, that's how you know that you have got product market fit.
Absolutely.
So you were you didn't stray far from home.
I didn't.
And you found an audience. And then you're like, hey, this might work.
Yes, this is the thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, how long has that been, though?
So in Pittsburgh, I've lived here for about 12 years now. I want to say that I've been performing in this city for about 9 of those 12 years.
Okay.
And that's like straight performing, like actually giving it my all and doing what I have to do.
Yeah.
And, putting my nose to the grindstone. But really, really to the point where I am now, my career kind of took off, I want to say about 7 years ago, when Soul Distribution was formed and we had this big, 10-piece band and backup singers and horns and the whole, to do.
By the way, the rhythm section now.
Yes.
Deserves a ton of credit.
Yes, they're killing it.
Yeah, they're really killing it. It was really fun. Just the other day when we were all together.
Yes.
I'm just looking at people going like, are you hearing this?
They just get it. They all gel. And I really try and work with musicians. Now I don't always have the same steady group of musicians, but I work with musicians that I vibe with, that pick up my vibe. And not only that, but they have the vibe with each other too.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate to have found a group of musicians that I can kind of push on to give me exactly what I'm looking for energy-wise.
Well, you kind of end up as, now we're going to add a fifth threat, right? Like you kind of have to be a director.
Yes. Right? That's like first and foremost.
So again, you have to look at your skill set. And now you're managing all these different ins and outs to the band.
Yes.
Okay, Joe's going to be on guitar this month, but then he's got to go down to Miami to play a show with the XYZ band. When you're grinding as a local musician, right? How do you distribute that time? Are you spending, say, 20% of your time looking for new bookings, 50% of your time? Like, how do you find the next gig? How do you do that?
Well, I've been fortunate enough over the past couple of years that a lot of my gigs have kind of come to me. I pulled a lot of weight in the first 5 years. And, my ex-husband, B. Michael Smith, who was my manager at the time, he put in a ton of footwork.
He planted a lot of seeds.
Oh my goodness. He was the media manager and the booker and the sound guy. He played harmonica. He really put in a lot of work, and he still does to this day. But I will say that now it's a lot easier with booking. At least a little bit more than it was 5 years ago.
When you got started, I'm sure creating a new name,
it's tough, and
nobody wants to pay you because you're new.
Absolutely. And in this Pittsburgh market, I've kind of got like some checks up against me because I'm a Black woman, I'm a woman, I'm an LGBT woman. So like these are all like things that kind of work against you, or either that or they can work for your good.
Well, let's unpack that. They're not going to know that you're LGBT unless you decide to share that.
Yeah,
that's kind of you.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It depends on the circumstance.
Well, obviously, like if you're giving kisses out in the parking lot, right. Maybe you tipped your hand a little bit, right?
Just a little bit.
But maybe you're just very affectionate.
Yes, with everyone. I love everyone.
Only her hairdresser knows for sure. Black. Let's deal with that. How much of an impact do you think that has? And I realize you're not working from data. You're just working from what you've seen up front, right? Like, do you think that it's reducing the number of bookings? Do you think it's reducing the amount you can ask for? And again, I know it's not data driven. I just want to know what you feel.
Absolutely. I do. I think that there's an expectation that people have when you're a Black artist. It can go where you're a Black artist, so they expect you to do only soul music.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Or you're a Black artist, so they expect you to be a crazy gospel singer, right? Yeah. And do all these crazy runs. Or you're a Black artist.
Have you ever heard of the Supremes? Can you do that?
Right. Like,
no disrespect to the Supremes, by the way.
But for real, though, because I'm a Black artist, I automatically do Motown.
Right.
That's not the case. You know, do I love Motown? I love performing Motown, but it's not my wheelhouse. You know what I mean? I'm a soul artist, but there's so many levels to soul. Also, pay is very, very different. People put a lot of almost prejudice against your work ethic and whether or not you're going to do a job and do it well, show up, or cancel.
And we've all heard this before, right?
Oh, yeah. It's such a stigma and it's such a stereotype.
Yeah.
Because it makes it really hard for people who actually do have that wonderful work ethic.
For example, at this show that I just saw you at, you were putting makeup on, what, 2 hours before, an hour and a half before?
2.5 hours.
Yeah, I saw you way early, right? And then you stuck around way late, too, right? Like, and your band actually stuck around way late on top of that.
Yes.
I'm wondering, is this a place where reviews and testimonials and whatnot of, I don't know, like the venue owners and those kinds of things might be something that could help?
I absolutely believe that reviews 100% help.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to have a 5.0 review on Facebook. It's kind of unheard of. Most people have on average a 4.5 to a 4.8. And I've maintained a 5.0 ever since my Facebook page has been up.
And what's funny about that is how many people will rate you bad because they meant it for somebody else, right? Like a lot of the 1 stars I see, it's accompanied by a comment that says, "You've literally never been here before. Are you sure you've got the right business?"
But I guess that spelling of my name helps them get the right Lyndsey Smith.
Yeah, it definitely, keep doing that. Do it at the end of the show, too. 5.0 is hard to keep.
Yes, I've been fortunate to maintain that 5.0 record. And I mean, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but I do believe that I make an impact by being as positive as I can, a presence, not just with businesses and business owners, but also with my peers, other musicians. I do the best I can to be a support to them, hang around, listen to their shows, show up when I don't have a show, give advice when I can offer it, be that ear, because those things are, and those things are the things that build that reputation.
Now let's take the woman part, right? Because you said that's a part of it too.
Absolutely.
Now I'm not going to say I don't believe you because, I mean, obviously, again, I've got no perspective on the matter. That does surprise me, though. This is one of the places where I would think that it would be an advantage.
Absolutely not.
Wow.
It couldn't be further from the truth. So let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Most of the people that go out to see live shows are women who take out their best friends, their girlfriends, things like that, which is great.
Yeah.
But if they see a man and he's a good-looking man, they're going to go support that good-looking man.
So the venue's hip to this? The venue gets it and says, let's
sure
get,
that
or are they just looking at the data? Like, well, Joe sold 10 tickets and Lyndsey sold 5 tickets, so let's give it to him.
Right. And that's really what it comes down to is numbers. A lot of the market right now and a lot of the appeal, especially in the city of Pittsburgh, is an appeal that goes towards men. I'm very happy to say that I am at the top for my craft and for what I do as a woman. And I also have paved the way for other women to start making their place as well.
Well, we're going to tag some of your videos to the page for this show.
Yes.
So they can see what we're talking about.
Yes.
Like, I wouldn't drag you in here if it wasn't a good thing for everybody.
Thank you.
No.
You.
I mean, the whole thing, it's not just a technical mastery of like, I can make the notes, right? It's got to be fun. And
you have to have fun, have to be high energy.
And the Lyndsey Smith show is fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Well, I could tell you put the work into it. If somebody's getting started now, though, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to start the social media early.
Yeah.
That is like the biggest thing that can make or break an artist is that social media.
It seems like.
It's the thing.
We're literally having people call us from like California and be like, I like your Instagram and it seems like I might want to work with you.
And that's the truth.
That's nuts.
It's so superficial.
3,000 miles between me and the client. And I'm getting, you seem like the kind of person that I can sit down and talk to.
Right.
I can't even imagine what it's like for somebody who's the dopamine button inside their head.
Seriously.
Yeah, making them feel good while they listen.
I think that people relate to me, and especially like you mentioned Instagram. People do relate to me because I kind of am a female who just doesn't care.
Oh, you tear it up,
I just don't care. I'm shaking, I'm jiggling, I wear, tight fitting clothing. I wear my hair how I want it to be, my makeup. I'm just authentic. I'm Lyndsey.
Yeah.
And I think that if I had been that artist from the beginning, I probably would be a lot further. So that's another bit of advice that I would give to somebody who's just starting out. Be as authentic as possible. Try. The gimmick might get you in the door, but it doesn't keep you in the door. 15 minutes will come up.
It's so hard. It's so hard to tell people to be themselves, though, because they don't, in my view, a lot of people don't actually believe that there's an audience, whether it be for their business or for their art, until they see it.
That is so true, though. That is so true. And I get in so much trouble with my management team all the time because I tell them, well, I don't understand why I have to post. I don't think that people really care that much anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm really that interesting. There's, but the unfortunate truth is that the industry at this point has geared to a level of narcissism that is necessary. You know what I mean?
God, there's a lot in that sentence.
Yeah.
There is so much in that sentence. On the one hand, you know it, you can see it, and you know just from knowing narcissists that it's not healthy.
Right.
And on the other hand, it's rewarded in a way, and it's not just the industry. I see it in business.
Oh, God, yeah.
The people that are forcefully pushing themselves are taking a level of reward that we didn't used to see before.
That's so true.
And on the one hand, if you can use that for good, I'm kind of willing to look the other way, right? Like if you're growing your platform and then saving the whales, you know what? I'm kind of willing to deal with that.
Right.
But we're seeing a lot of the other.
And it's like I said, it's the unfortunate truth.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the necessary evil of our industry at this point.
If you want to have any power.
You want to have power, you got to be full of yourself.
Yeah. And let's talk about what the power really is. It's the power to negotiate. It's the power to actually stand and deliver, look that audience in the eye and not let them back you down. Right. It's all that stuff. You've got to have, there's a guy, he used to do a column here in Pittsburgh, and he had, he had this phrase, and it was, if to be an entrepreneur of any kind, you have to have an outrageous level of optimism. Like you had to have this ridiculously high.
It's so true.
But that's what overcomes that nasty look you're getting from that guy at the bar who wishes you just shut up and close up your mic stand so that he could drink in quiet.
Yes.
And it's also what makes it so that when your new business is out there and you're dialing, like, hi, you don't know me, but I'm Scott and I'd like to sell you widgets.
Right.
That you don't just go cry in a corner when they hang up the phone.
Yes.
It's the optimism.
Yes.
It's truly the optimism. Somebody will feel it.
And there's a reason why we keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We come back to it because of that outstanding optimism. Yeah. And when you have that positive energy, when you have that level of optimism, it's almost a laws of attraction, so to speak.
How so?
Because you're attracting those positive things to you.
Yeah.
That optimism does keep you pushing, but at some point, somebody latches on to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You've got the energy they want.
Yes.
And birds of a feather and all that stuff.
And they do. And people just want to be a part of that energy.
No, I believe every word of that.
100%.
I think you've got a better chance of bringing people in when they know that your energy matches what they're looking for.
Yes.
When you decide to reevaluate your business as a musician, right? I have to believe, tell me if this is the way you look at it, right? We've got live act sales, right? Like ticket sales, which is probably gigs, you're not selling the tickets. You're booking with somebody who does.
Right.
You've got recording sales.
Yes.
You've got merch sales.
Yes.
Is that kind of it? Or do you have other means that you earn off of this?
Those are the main revenue streams.
Okay.
Of course, for other artists, there are advertising.
Yeah.
They get paid, for doing YouTube videos and
or using the right drum kit or whatever.
Right, sponsorships and things like that. But the main revenue streams are live performances, merchandise, and recording.
Now, of those three, right, it seems like the recording is the dangerous one because a lot of people... Dangerous. Like, it just proliferates out there.
Yes.
So if I want to listen to your song, either I listen to it for free on YouTube or I listen to it for essentially free on Spotify because you're not making enough that it really registers.
It's pennies.
It's not pennies.
It's pennies.
It aspires to one day be pennies.
Right.
It's not even at pennies.
Right. It's yeah.
I read, and I wish I would have thought to write this down, but as I was like trying to get ready for today's show, right, one of the things I was looking for was the Spotify numbers, right? And I wish I could remember what giant band it was that got a check for like $14.38 for a whole month. And I'm thinking, I paid more than that for a single CD 25 years ago.
Right.
And that's what I mean when I say like the recorded work is now, I don't know, I'd almost... completely unencumbered by any experience or fact, right. I would just say, I'd probably drop that. I'd be like, look, record what you want. Like, we're not going to put out recordings anymore. I don't know if that is even viable, but it's
we do
so
it now so that people...
They're disappointing,
rather. Extremely disappointing. But I think that people know when they do put that music out there that you are literally getting it out there to the masses so that when they come to your shows, they know what they're expecting. When they come and see you or whatever, they hear the songs, they listen to them, and then they're engaging with you at your shows.
Okay, so what? 2 days before I saw you, I saw Radiohead, right?
Right.
And I've been listening to those guys for, 25 years, right? Mm-hmm. And I came to a really interesting conclusion that night, which was there are like the 80 or 90% of us that were really happy with that show. Mm-hmm. And then there were the 10 or 20 who wanted the recording. Like what they really wanted was like a bunch of guys to get up there and be perfect impressions of the recording, right?
Right.
I don't know. It just feels like... that's too big of a number, especially if I had what you have, which is that emphasis on the stage, right? And I don't know, it occurred to me as I was watching it, and I was like, you know what? It's really tempting just to make your money off the live shows and the merch and be like, look, you know what? When somebody big comes along, we'll do recordings, but maybe not until then.
And you do, and that is where you make your money. And of course, part of your merch is those recordings.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
you're selling those hard copies of albums, or selling download cards where people can take the card, they purchase it, and they have the album digital on their phone. You know what I mean? So that is part of your merchandise. That is part of your revenue.
But that means you got to stay up on it too. Like having a download card means you got to learn about download cards.
Absolutely. You have to. But I mean, in any industry, you have to figure out the cutting edge way to do stuff so that you could stay ahead of the curve.
I don't know. I like simple, right? Like it doesn't make me right, but it does mean it's what I like.
And it works for some people.
Yeah.
Hence the reason why we've gone back to vinyl.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, true story.
And vinyl is going through the roof right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like simple as well. I would much rather have a hard copy of something than to have to deal with, the fuss of digital anything. But that's also me. I mean, I grew up in an age where
Don't even play the old lady thing. You're not an old lady. Listen to you.
We're not that far apart in age.
When I was a kid,
back in my day,
I used to walk uphill both ways to school. If you had to plot out sort of like the big bold move that you wanted to make next, what is it?
Well, the big, bold move is rebranding.
Nice.
So, which I'm really excited about. I'm so proud of. I cannot wait. This time next year, it'll be a very, very different Lyndsey Smith, but not unfamiliar, just different in the fact that you're not going to see the Lyndsey Smith that people were used to when she was with Soul Distribution. So it's not going to be the retro vibe. It's going to be Lyndsey Smith. I'm hard, I'm gritty. I'm a glamorous rebel, so to speak, You're
going to spell it with an A, aren't you? You're going to spell it with an A.
I should.
Oh my God, I can't keep up.
Mind blown.
Rebrands are tough.
Yes.
Rebrands are real tough.
It is tough.
I assume you're still going to try to keep the Lyndsey Smith name, but you're going to change the image and branding around it.
The image and branding around it. Yeah. So we're getting, like I said, we're getting away from as much of a retro feel and really just honing in on the edgier side of me, because that's the side that stands out.
Okay.
And that's the side that people see when they're on stage, me hollering and having a good time and engaging. So I feel like the look of me needs to match the vibe of me. You know what I mean?
So tell me more about the edge.
Show. So I'm kind of like, I don't know if I could say this, but I'm a balls to the walls kind of girl. You know what I mean? I do what I want. I say what I want. I perform how I want. And I take pride in that.
Yeah.
So I want people to be able, if they take a photo of Lyndsey Smith or they look at my Instagram of Lyndsey Smith, they're also going to be able to hear the same things that they see.
Got it.
So it's like one continuous
So you're going to
product.
integrate what their expectation is across everything.
Right.
I think a lot of people have a different definition of edge, so you have to draw it out because different people mean different things. Like you could have told me that you were going to, wear black eyeliner and go goth on me, right?
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
It won't be so goth.
That'd be awesome.
It might be awesome, but no, that's not the edge.
You're going to be the Lyndsey Smith of Evanescence.
Oh my God. No, I don't think that's the Lyndsey Smith.
You got to do the video where you're like falling from like the dark tower.
Yes.
I'm feeling
with nothing but chiffon. Black chiffon.
Just
everywhere.
tons of chiffon.
No, my edgy is more of I'm a whiskey drinker.
Yeah.
I wear a leather jacket on a regular basis. Like that's something that I love. It's like my statement piece. It's like part of my personality. It's ingrained in me. Mm-hmm. I wear makeup and like it's always like very big and glamorous and theatrical, but that's who I am and that's how I feel like I am. I'm not like the cookie cutter artist,
but you got to be comfortable with it,
and
right? But going back to what we were saying about the person who gets started, right, doesn't have the confidence necessarily to follow that North Star, right? Like it's not that they're a bad person, it's not that they're not going to make it, it's just really super tough to get up on stage. And now you go, how much tougher does it get that you're going to be a little bit edgier than maybe they thought they were going to see tonight? How much tougher does it get when you're outside the pack, right? Like you don't have that safety in numbers of like, well, I'm just like the other 500 people that have done this stage, right? It's really hard to ask somebody getting started to be that far out on the limb.
It is. I think one of the biggest things that I used to say years ago that I think still resonates me is sometimes you got to sell out to buy in. And I know it sounds crazy to say that, but sometimes you got to give people what they want before you can give them what they need.
Yes, absolutely.
And so
you have to have a platform before you can say what you want.
Yeah. Period. So if you have something that people like and you do that thing that they like really, really well, they're going to be along for the ride with you. Of course, you might not be as set apart as you would like or hope to be, but you have to get in their ear first.
It's a process and a trajectory. It's not a one-shot thing.
Yeah.
The person you are the first time you get on stage is likely to be an inch away from peeing down your leg.
Yeah.
Right? And then, we're going to close out on a nice compliment that I've got for you. And that is that it's nice to go to a show that is being run by someone that knows what they're doing.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's the feeling I got the 2 times I've been in the crowd when you're up on stage, is that you know how to operate this machine, right?
Wow, yeah.
That's the pro feel that people want. But if you look at a boy band or, like one of these, top 40 kid bands, right? Yeah. They don't have that yet. And it's not their fault. They're kids, right? But it's something really cool about watching a commanding presence that knows how to operate the stage and the sound and the feel and you've gotten there.
Thank you. I take pride in that. I really do.
I love you to pieces. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to have you back next week.
Yes.
We're going to talk to Steve and we're going to talk about this weird, crazy idea that he's got, high-tech idea, and that'll be week 2 of our little entree into music
industry.
Thanks for being part of it.
Thank you so much.
All right, that was fun talking to Lyndsey. I really appreciate her coming in, and she'll be in next week when we talk to Steve from VEZT.co. Steve's got a really interesting idea, and I need a co-host that can walk me through the ins and outs of the music business, which is a totally different thing than I'm used to. Make sure you check us out on social media. It's always Pitchwerks, Pitchwerks, and we will catch you next Wednesday morning. Don't forget, subscribers get it first, and then all the rest of you have to jump on the website after that around 9:30 every morning. It just doesn't seem like the way to do it. Just subscribe.
The Pitchwerks podcast comes to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a production of the Epicast Network and McTaggart, LLC. Engineering and production by Buzzy Torek and Nick Miller. For more information, show feedback, and ad sales, visit pitchwerks.com. pitchwerks.com. On social media, find and follow the show on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram using that same brand name, pitchwerks.